Okay, going live. There we go. Very exciting, very exciting. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this small version of Ace Games. I'm Luis Fernandano with Ace Action. I used to also handle the Tenant Talk Tuesdays with Ace. And our awesome guest today is Christina with Power Switch Action. Christina, welcome.
Hi, it's good to be with y'all, and I'm super excited to play this game. It was a labor of love with lots of people, so
Yeah.
super excited to just like chat with y'all about it.
Yeah, I honestly just also very excited to get to kind of like go through it, and at the same time, just honestly going through it with you who are work on the game closely now, and it's just I don't know. This is a very emotional game. I'm very excited to kind of delve into this. So let's go ahead and let me share my screen so that we can start getting this on the go.
Yeah, fired up.
Let's see. But yeah, so here we go. Share screen. All right. Can you see this, Christina? Does it look good?
Yeah, it looks great from my end. And looks like we're going into the opening sequence.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, this game is called Dot Home. It came. When did it come out again, Christina?
Last year, almost a year ago. Yeah, in October 2021.
Yeah. All right. So basically, so for now, can you give us a quick rundown of so what is Dot Home? Like, what can people expect going into this game? Can you give us a quick rundown?
Yeah, for sure. So Dot's Home it's a narrative video game. So it's a single player game. The player is playing as Dot, who is a young Black woman, like in her 20s, and she sort of thinks she knows all she needs to know about her family and their home, and then she actually goes. She tries to grapple with the very hard questions about home and opportunity, and she gets to go back in time, and she goes back in time in key moments in her family's history, and how they sort of navigated the choices that brought them to where they are today. So we're going through things like redlining and block busting, the foreclosure crisis, and like house flipping. The urban renewal, like all of those themes are in this game, but it's told through one single family in Detroit.
Okay, sweet. So then in that case, with that introduction, let's just jump straight in with a new game. Okay, let's see. Here's the beginning. I need to get home. So here's our protagonist, Dot. Let's see. It looks to be, the beginning she looks to be an urban center or like an urban area.
Yeah. She's like in her grandma's neighborhood. Dot lives with her grandma, so we're in her neighborhood looking around. It looks like there's like a lot of disinvestment.
Oh yes, here. I don't think we can go more this way, but this is just kind of like the entrance scene. Close theater, and for a long time. So it's really like the disinvestment part. Definitely, just a quick jump into that.
Yeah.
Let's see. And honestly, one of the things I noticed is that these newspapers are actually really crucial to helping us where we are, what the big theme is going to be, and really the date, which is June 2nd, 2021, which is only a year ago, a little bit over a year ago.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like going through this really fast for people, what's in store for the city's environmental future. So this one newspaper, when I was kind of like, we were going through it, it starts off with saying that there's just change. There's new businesses coming back, new businesses, for example. I even noticed down here, the city's first tiki bar, which is, that kind of touches into like gentrification.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like you see all the disinvestment, and it's like prime opportunity for like developers to come in and like make a bunch of money for transform the neighborhood. And all in the face of like there's lots of concerns about the other businesses that are nearby that might be putting the neighborhood in jeopardy, like pollution, flooding, that kind of stuff.
Definitely, and even like that, like one of the things that are like down here, y'all, it included kind of like the story of those kind of things, where it's, she starts as I live in one of the most polluted areas of the city, right next door to one of the most gentrified. So it already kind of like sets, and we even see the picture here of some funnels emitting smoke. So just from this, it already kind of gives a player a really good view of environmental justice, housing justice, economic justice, and at the same time, just racial justice, the intersections of it all. I
Yeah.
think. Let's see. So then let's go back. All right. So then we are going to go into that's home. Let's see which key. Kidding me? I started this unlocked. Grandma always locking the door.
Yeah, grandma.
And honestly, I get it. My mom and my family,
Oh my
we
God.
are always locking everything. Because honestly, at the same time, it's just kind of like we don't want to get our things taken, and B, it's just like, especially like it's just over years, it's just a habit now.
Oh yeah, my mom is always like, somebody's gonna go in and steal your son if you don't lock your door.
Yes,
Yep, that's my
I
mom.
know.
And that's
Oh,
Grandma Mavis too.
huh?
That's Grandma Mavis, like telling
Oh
Dot,
yes,
lock the door.
yes. Here we go. So we're introducing to the grandma. Let's see, Grandma, why are you locked the door? It was only gone for a minute. It's not even dark yet. Yeah, now you know an unlocked door is an open invitation for trouble. Exactly what we're talking about.
That sounds like mommy.
Lived here long enough to know the neighborhood's changing. Whatever you say, Grandma. I wonder what those papers so far. Okay, so here's where we start going into it. So for people who are also watching and are playing and are planning on playing this is also you can explore the game. I think you said that there was like different things you can do besides the main story, right, Christina?
Yeah, so you can you click on some of the things. So like in the
Mm-hmm.
living room, there's the stack of papers,
Yes.
and it sparks conversation between Dot and Grandma Mavis about like
Mm-hmm.
what's kind of going on, what's the context for everything
No.
happening in the neighborhood. But
No.
there's other stuff too that's just like pretty playful. Like if you go to the kitchen,
No.
at some point you can eat a granola bar or put it in your
No.
backpack. So yeah, and I think we tried to. I mean, this is a story, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
we're very much talking about a fairly like linear story,
Yes.
but there are important parts of exploration here that
Mm.
we can look into. Like every time Dot makes a decision,
Yeah.
if you go and explore a little bit, you learn
Mm-hmm.
some of the like immediate effects of the decision.
Mm. Yeah, because I remember also you had mentioned. Oh, yes, I will get to that, Grandma. You had mentioned that there's also three endings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So every decision you make
Mm-hmm.
leads you to like a butterfly effect. So you see
Mm-hmm.
something in the environment change. That's one of the
Mm-hmm.
big mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
But then at the end, based on your decisions, you're taken to one of three endings, which we call like the good, bad, and neutral endings.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever, I don't know how many like folks who play games are watching, but that was very much influenced by the game Undertale.
Yes.
If you've
Oh,
played
yes.
Undertale, there's a good, bad, and neutral ending
Mm-hmm.
based on some of the decisions and the way you like interacted with the characters and played the game. Like we
Yeah.
sort of did that as a nod to our experiences with Undertale.
Yeah.
So the good ending is sort of like the values of the team that put this together. It's like
Yeah.
communal living, shared ownership
Mm-hmm.
of community. And then the bad ending is the other side of the spectrum where it's just like extremely individual, extremely like harsh and kind of
Yeah.
lonely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I was playing it, I played it twice. What was that?
I totally spoiled the endings, but yeah.
Oh, don't worry, don't worry. We'll get because I tried it twice and both times I got the neutral ending. So hopefully this one we can get to the good ending together, just to kind of like show people like, or I guess we'll see. Like we'll see where we get. But I'll let some of the exploration for some of the fans, like if they want to delve into it, they want to explore the house more than welcome to. But oh, yeah, all right, Grandma. Let's get kind of like going with these papers. Let's see. Speaking of changes, so one of the biggest kind of like is also this Cash for Keys flyer. And it kind of delves into the huge promotion of, we always see flyers around our neighborhood saying, oh, we'll buy your house for cash. Just call this number. So I guess, like, can you give us a little bit more information into, like, what is this concept? Like, why is it that we always see these, like, cash for homes? And why is it so important to the story?
Yeah. I mean, the story goes through history a little bit of like
Mhm.
how like the real estate business sort of preyed on people of color and neighborhoods of color in order
Mhm.
to make money. And
Mhm.
that, it repeats itself, it's
Yeah.
the 1950s, 1960s, like contract for deed situation where people couldn't qualify for a mortgage
Yeah.
that at the same, with the same stipulations and things that like white families could, Black
Mhm.
families couldn't get a mortgage, so they had to buy their home under contract.
Yeah.
That concept like was outlawed, but it like never actually went away. So like um nowadays you can like rent to own, but the second that you miss a payment, like
Yeah.
that house is no longer yours, and all of
Yeah.
the equity and stuff that you paid into it,
Yeah.
it puts you further back.
Yeah.
Um, and then and so the cash for keys thing is just
Mhm.
another example of the real estate industry sort of trying to prey on people of color, thinking like, well, you have this house, there's all this deferred maintenance,
Yeah.
it's falling apart. If you just we will buy your ugly house and you will make a profit off of it. Like, that under that system, like, no, it puts people of color even further behind,
Yeah.
just contract for deed did and blockbusting and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that, like, even, like, me here in Sacramento, I know that many houses around here still have racial covenants of just how extensive the attempts were to keep Black families from owning homes. Um, so it was definitely, like, that's actually, like, really good, kind of like for viewers, kind of like know, like, this is gonna be a running topic through the game. This cash for keys, that kind of like whole situation. Um, and also, Christina, by the way, if there's anything that I skip and you want me to touch into, please let me know. Because I know, like, you may have like some tidbits here and there, having worked on it. But let's see. So now we're kind of like starting to delve into grandmother's history. So here we start with her having grown in South Carolina, where they were sharecroppers. Now, can you kind of, I guess for people who are not familiar with sharecroppers, like sharecropping, can you kind of like, you know, Grandma will kind of like read us through what her experience was. Can you give us a little bit more information of what sharecropping was?
Yeah, totally. So a lot of this like history is sort of taken from one of our team members, her family, like her grandparents and her parents, like came um, out of South Carolina. So this is sort of a nod to her history, her family's
Yeah.
history. So after the Civil War, after Reconstruction, after that very brief experiment where like Black folks, former slaves, were freed and they got to experience like democracy as we dreamed of, and then racism of course takes over,
Mhm.
and instead of these folks like being they're given their acre and a mule,
Mhm.
they are forced to like work, have like lodging in farms, and then and work basically so that they have a place to live, and theoretically like they're able to like make money, but really they have to
Mhm.
pay for their housing, for their
Mhm.
like being able to like farm and things like that.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is like they owe all this money to the person who owns the farm. And so it's not like, as Mavis said, it's like not that different from their ancestors being enslaved.
Yes.
And so it's like she tells Carl, like her husband Carl,
Yeah.
Dot's grandpa, we got to get out of here. We gotta make it out of here.
Mhm.
And so we definitely wanted to, when we were making this game, wanted to bring up the Great Migration, because that is
Oh
the
yeah.
experience of so many Black families
Mhm.
in housing, like
Yeah.
like desperate to find like this American dream. it makes you understand like why Mavis and her husband were so eager to like get into maybe predatory terms to buy the house that they bought.
Yeah, and especially I know I went a little bit fast, just kind of slowly clicking through people who are reading through the text. But while Grandma was speaking, she also mentioned that they eventually found an opportunity, like you mentioned, the Great Migration of a job and opportunities. So they just grabbed their stuff, a one-way ticket, and they're out of South Carolina. So that was kind of like really just touching upon that, kind of like trying to seek out better life, better opportunities away from the racism of the South during especially this time. Let's see. So then let's continue with, let's see what grandmother has to say. I love, honestly, one of the things that I love the most about this grandma is it reminds me a lot of my grandma, but especially earlier in the story, she used to like, "Oh, you millenniums." And she's like, millennial.
Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah, I hope that players can see like, this is really a story. Like, we're talking about all these wonky things about housing, but like really, this is a story about family, and I just hope people can see like their own families. I inserted a piece of like my family. If you look over on the to the right, like there's the sewing machine.
Yes.
That Mavis used. That is the exact sewing machine that my grandmother used, that I learned to sew on, and that I currently have. So
really,
so my grandma and I named that sewing machine Rosita, and we wanted to put that in the game as sort of like a nod to we have nods to like all of our families and our experiences. So
yeah, that's actually really cool. I didn't even know that. Rosita, I like that. That's actually a really cute touch.
Yeah.
That's good to know right there. I love that. Let's see. Oh, and then we're getting introduced to Carlos. Let's see. Carlos is the cornerstone. All right. So then we're about to get meet Carlos, which I think is Dot's nephew, if I remember correctly.
Yep, that's Dot's nephew. Yeah, he likes to play out down in the basement, so we'll meet him when we go down there.
All right. Let's and then Super Smash Bash Bros. I love that. The hinting to the very popular game. All right, let's go meet Carlos now for Bash Bros. And I also love, one of the things I love is just the comments that Dot makes, like featuring famous characters like Kerbal and Iron Knight. Yeah. Hinting at it's just great. But let's see what Carlos to say. You'll squirt. 5 more minutes, as every kid says. I don't know, this place upsets your asthma. To the health condition of Carlos.
Yeah. It's a nod to sort of the environmental injustice that we talked about earlier.
Yeah. So, because I know that, like, I guess it will be brought up as we were kind of going, but basically, this basement, I think it said that it had mold. I think it was like in the story, basically, as we are going through this. There was a mention of, I think there was like mold in the basement, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things as well is, unfortunately right now, many housing conditions, especially for Black families, brown families, immigrant families, a lot of these housing conditions, especially renters, they face a lot of these, issues with mold, plumbing, etc., that affects their health, kind of touching into the environmental and health justice. And this is just kind of like, in this case, Dot and her grandmother don't rent the home, they own it. But it can be hard to solve these issues. We can just have long-term effects on kids like Carlos. It really touches upon, like, it's really unfortunate that, seeing the like these disparities in health based on the place where one is supposed to feel safest, which is at home.
Yeah, I mean that's like the whole point of this game, is that like your housing is just like the foundation for everything you become, and if your housing situation is unhealthy, like in the future you might suffer like health issues.
That's true.
So we wanted to definitely insert that systemic theme in the game.
Yeah, and it's very much shown. So like here, this is one of the parts we have a choice. So let's see. So Carlos wants to game those 5 more minutes. or we can tell him like no. What do you think, Christina? You give us what the first choice would be. What would you tell your
I
nephew?
mean, as a parent, I'm like, no, I set the firm boundaries. Like, no, let's go.
All right, then no way, we're starving. All right, let's go. There we go.
And if you click the TV, you can turn it off.
Really? Oh, you can. Oh, there we go. Yes,
That's
nice.
a fun thing.
Saving energy. All right, let's see. I think they're gonna be over here. And I'm curious. Oh, it would have been funny if like I could have clicked on this and it would have been like, oh, this is my grandmother's thing, Rosita.
Yeah, that would have been cute. Yeah.
Let's see. Smells like grandmother's mac and cheese.
Jeez.
Don't touch it. It's cooling down right now. Cooling down? You mean we gotta wait before we eat? I could have finished my game. Mm-mm. Yeah, man, the only place where mold grows in the walls is beyond me, and that kind of like mentioning what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rest of the house for you and grandma. Basement is a place that's just for me. Mm-hmm. Hank, history repeats itself. You sound like Hank back when he moved out in '86.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure a flair of dramatic family traits. Here we go. Don't
All
open the door. Are you expecting anyone, Grandma? Heck no. Not without a call first. Maybe that's the person that's been secretly texting all night long. Oh, so that has someone that she's looking after, or like hanging out with. There we go. I blanked out of like seeing someone. So do you. All right, let's go answer the door already. Oh, actually, I know that in the fridge there's some pictures. It also gives some backstory into like
Yeah.
Doc and the
Mhm.
family. So I will try to remember to.
Oh boy. This guy just walks in uninvited.
Mm-hmm. Rude and just rude, so rude. Okay, let's see what this man has to say. Let's see who this man looks. And just by looking at his eyes, I can already, he looks devilish. So let's delve in. So
Yeah.
who is this man? Hello. Da-da-da. An open door is an invitation for new opportunities. A, the door wasn't open. So that's point A.
Yeah.
This is so rude. Like people walking into, actually in my situation, we had one that's one of the main reasons my mom always gives the door, just because we also had like situations where someone would just walk into the house uninvited, which can be very scary, especially if you have kids, of course.
Yeah. I mean, the reason this like he just walks in, it's like we needed something to move this, like to make it really apparent that like this sort of, practice of like basically like white gentrifiers coming in and saying like, oh, we feel like we have a right to your space. Like we wanted to make that loud and clear. And so like, maybe somebody wouldn't quite just like walk on in, but we took some artistic liberty here and just said like, we need to make it really apparent like how threatening this can be to people who live here. So.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, just kind of like I can see the symbolism of just walking into someone's house, into someone's community, really. Let's see. The owner of this lovely home, my grandmother. All right, so Michael H. Murphy III, represented a company called Hope Equity. So many companies have names that try to tie it with like hope.
Oh yeah.
And this kind of like wholesome kind of thing, when in fact they're just, like they mentioned, straight cash for the keys of this house.
Yeah, for sure. It's like they want to hide behind this veil of like, oh, we're like actually trying to help you. And
a golden opportunity, as he says right here. Paying above the fair market value for distressed home and revitalizing. And no, that is not having it. Let's see. Let me explain it. I'd rather come understand. Bye. And there he goes.
Yeah.
I love Dot for that.
I know. Yeah.
All right, let's go have dinner. It's been a while, and Carl's just waiting for us. Let's see. All right, leave this dude. Yes. So the grandma basically at this point, she's just saying that she's thinking about possibly selling. This image putting up a good price. She says she could really use the money. She's not getting any younger, and these bills keep going up. Then the leaky water from last year. Oh, the whole start over. I'm not sure I could find a place close to home.
Yeah. This is
Oh,
like really upsetting to Dot. It's
no.
sort of like, I mean, what is home? Like
Yeah.
Grandma was just talking about all of the things that they went through to get this
Yeah.
house. And Dot's like, okay. And then all of a sudden Grandma Mavis is like, you know what? I'm tired. Like I'm
Yeah.
tired of this. You could see why people would want to just be like, I'm just going to give the keys, get some cash and go live comfortably. But, I could understand it. It's like a valid decision, but
Yeah.
it's clearly upsetting to Dot,
Yeah. No, yeah, it's her home, and that's the thing. It's like it's her community. Leaving it, it's a hard thing. So I can definitely relate to Dot. So I guess Dot is no longer hungry after the situation. We are going to go upstairs to our room, and here, ah,
There's that water leak.
mm-hmm, the ceiling's leaking again. So it's not the first time. So I guess we go into our room, and here her things start to get fun. So that's room. Let's see. I think yes. Here's where we go. Property taxes, repair fees, electric bills. I get that we need the money to pay the bills, but do we really have to give up the house to get it? And that's the big dilemma. And then yeah, but if they stay, it just means struggling forever. Ah, all right.
It's a lot, girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. But let's see. An open doors. This is interesting. The open door is an invitation. I want a place that's just for me. New opportunities. Cause when have I ever been able to stop Grandma from doing anything? Here's where it gets magical. Here's where it gets fun. Alrighty. That was some nap. At least my headache is gone. And oh no, her door is somehow locked from the outside. All right.
And
then
a new key.
Does he want me to use? I guess it does. So let's try the key. Well, here goes nothing. Whoa, magical stuff. I would be pretty confused. Honestly, if I walked out of my room and I walked into the situation, I would just walk back into my room and go to bed.
Yeah, I know. It's like, this is too much to deal with, but good for Dot. She wants to see what's going on. She's curious. But what a trippy room, right?
Yeah, I actually really like kind of like seeing like the different kind of like squares around, like seeing her walking different directions.
Yeah.
It's just very trippy. So let's see. So now on the other side of that room, we see things look a little different. Let's see what's up. How long is it? This man's here again. What's a Misty coming in? See what he wants. You again. You here for the open house, yes? How would you like the upstairs so far?
What are you even talking about?
Mm-hmm.
This guy's all up in her business saying like, oh, you and your husband gonna have kids? Oh God.
Yeah.
Gross.
And it's like, especially this part, like the man to man about the details.
Oh God, yeah, that's horrible. But that's how it was back then.
I know. I think we're gonna be seeing quite a bit more as we delve into this man. Let's see. Take the decision. You're not the only one looking. All right. So the house changed. Clearly looks brand newish. The coloring has changed, and that's the one thing I also noticed is as we're traveling through the time, the kind of like the color schemes change. This one looks a little bit more. It feels like oldish. You know, how like that kind of like graphical look, or like the brownish kind of coloring.
Yeah, yeah. So this is we used a like sepia toned filter for this chapter. So everything it's like if you're looking at an old photograph.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess let's see. We're in Dot's home, but it's not home technically. We're seeing that the house is pretty Not in the best condition. There's some things here and there. The base
Yeah.
is barely covering the crack in the wall, and we're about to meet someone really special. Do you think we're making the right decision, Carl? But if things were bad as here in the farm, and so here is where we're going to meet the younger version of Dot's grandmother and her husband. Here we go.
I ain't nobody's grandma.
Mm-mm. Too young. Out of this place too. No. This home is yours. Live in the neighborhood and decided to pop in. Quick thinking. Very nice to meet you, Miss Dot. Dot, short for Dorothea. Yes, that's Dot's full name. I forgot about that. Grandmother named me. Beautiful name. It is a beautiful name. See, we meet Carl from the neighborhood. Tell us about the day. Things are different, but we look out for each other here. Counting on each other's back.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell by like the things that they're talking about, like Carl and Mavis here, like what they're looking for is a community. Like they care about what the home looks like, but for Carl, he's like, how can I get into a community that like will look after me, where I can trust people?
So. Especially like this part. The hardest part is this is the first house we've looked at all this week that hasn't turned us away from just being colored. Which again, the situation. I think this part is said like 1950s.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 1950s, and if you can kind of hear it, but you'll hear the soundtrack. It kind of sounds a little bit like Motown, which is like Detroit in the late 50s and 60s.
Yeah, I hadn't really like played that much. I love the soundtrack. That's the one thing I do like it. Let's see. This man has come up to us again. Let's see. For you, I assure you, I'm happy to work with your people, Miss Hawkins. Dog whistle. Well, I was just telling the young lady we here's the perfect home to start a family. I thought you were saying present too. Oops. Okay. We're cutting a lie. Let's see. Sir, I'm not interested in this place. Or no, wait, this house seems perfect for both of you. My initial feeling is, sir, I'm not looking at this place.
Oh yeah, that's what I would say too.
All right, let's go for that. What a shame, Miss Hawkins. Delicious meals you could cook in this fabulous kitchen, while your husband and I talk business in the living room. Again. But you know what? We're doing progress. We are fighting back against this kind of like patriarchy, like I guess just a general term. This kind of like whole division. It's so.
Any business of my husband's is mine too. You tell him, Mavis.
Exactly. Go, Grandma. She's right. We'll hear what you have to say together, and I like that. You insist. I should go. Alrighty, Dot. I guess we are not wanted here right now, but we do get to spy. Employed at the auto factory? No, sir, not yet. Be down there tomorrow for a job. There's always a catch with dealing with your people.
Yep. Oh God.
Lucky for you, there's a black neighborhood on the rise. And that's the one thing. It's just kind of like one of the things, especially about this game. It's not afraid to, use like a word like then word here, and especially as a white man using it during this time, it was just prevalent. And it's not afraid because it is, especially now, me being a non-black person, being Latino, it's just kind of like, like the whole putting like, like I'm not someone that says the word, but like putting it in here in the game for like maybe like white individuals who may just be learning, like this could be like a very much like, hey, like here's a percentage of how things were, how this word was just used freely to describe an entire community of people. And it's just, that's the one thing. We'll go through the game as we go.
Yeah, I mean, this is a time period, right? So we like want to reflect like the accurate time period and the words they used. And we're like, I think we're struggling now. Like a lot of elders in Black communities, they like they're like African American, and like younger people say we are Black with a capital
Yes.
B, and just like all of this changes over time, but
Yes.
it's important to like capture it in the accurate like terms of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, it's like we're all kind of like growing, like learning from
Oh,
our past.
you should
Huh?
definitely click on the for sale sign.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Here, let's before we delve into this. So for sale. It's weird seeing a house for sale. Okay. Oh, I didn't even know this. Okay. Part of me wants to kick the sign,
Do it.
but
Kick the sign.
all
Kick.
right, let's kick the sign. Die. Oh, I didn't knock it over. That's funny. All right, I like that. A good thing for people to try themselves when they're playing. Your neighborhood could be next. So here we get into the topic of blockbusting.
Yeah.
So let's see. So in this just kind of general part, all the access in this picture are supposed to be occupied by Black individuals.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about like this kind of situation? Well, like blockbusting. Can you tell us a little bit more on like
Yeah.
about this part of
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
happening?
So I mean, and we can see how it plays out in here, but like, during the times of redlining,
Mm-hmm.
Black families couldn't qualify for a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
But, some of them started working like through the Great Migration, started working in auto factories and started to be able to have the money to put down on a house, even though they couldn't qualify for mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
And, the idea is like, okay, well, if they can qualify for mortgages because they have the money, but based on race, they're not,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be another way for them to buy a house. So the real estate industry, like or some realtors, I shouldn't say the whole industry, but some realtors decided like that's an opportunity to make money. So what they would do is they would convince white people, white homeowners that, oh, you know what, like such and such Black person moved into your neighborhood. The value of your property is going to start to go down because Black families are moving in.
Yeah.
You better sell to me before your property can depreciate anymore.
Yeah.
And I will, and that way you can go buy another house in another neighborhood. The thing that they did though is that they would hire Black people to hang out on the like corners of streets and try to convince white people that like, oh, their neighborhood is being taken over. But
Yeah.
it's interesting because a lot of the real estate industry at this time, like they created value and maintained value of properties through whiteness.
Yeah.
And so like racism is a very important way for the real estate industry to make money. And you're like, how could that be? Like Black families being able to buy a house, like that just drives up demand.
Yeah.
But in some ways it was like even more valuable to have neighborhoods and housing remain white. They stood to make more profit.
Yeah.
So it's just an important theme at this time for us to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that, not we won't delve into this game, but that leads into things like why we have some like highway expansions and white flight, which just kind of gave white homeowners who were selling out and just easier way to move to the suburbs, into places where they felt they were, less Black individuals, less Black homeowners.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's really good, kind of like laying down kind of like the foundation. I did see the newspaper was 1959, so 50s, 60s, early 60s. So and this is one heck of a dream, historically accurate. That's the nice part. And the theater is open again. It's really, it's a nice area still. This business is open. Let's see, what else is over here? Can we go in this business? No. Can we go here? No. Oh. Missed. Let's see what he wants now. Oh, let's see. He's only 2 blocks. I'm going any further. Neighborhood. The neighborhood beyond this point is not for your kind.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see, like this realtor wants to maintain the value of like the white neighborhood. So he's like, well, you cannot go over to that side because if they see you, like my chances at making money will will go down. So
Yeah.
like making sure that she stays in the Black area of town.
Yeah. Protecting, kind of, well, in his eyes, like protecting the integrity of different communities.
Right.
Segregation. Oh, yeah. So I guess we're not allowed in this area. So I guess we now go back home. All right. Let's go see if Grandma and Grandpa are ready to make a decision on this house. All right. Ha. I don't trust them. It sounds like a raw deal and we have an old man making our back home. Sign inside. I'm gonna make some. Yo. I love Dot. She just stays to her, she sticks to her gun and just like her character. Just I love it. It's just
Yeah.
your dad. I think to myself, and then look at the decision. You want the house, but the Murphy fella is just making us choose between a contract for deed or renting the place. And the contract for deed, that's the like you own the house, but you don't have the deed to it, but you pay
Right.
over time. And if you fail, you lose the house.
That's right. Yeah. Like under a traditional mortgage, like you have protections, like you have time to make payments. If you miss a payment, like you can adjust your loan and stuff like that. But under a contract for deed, you don't own the house until you've finished paying, which could take, decades. And then you miss a payment and the person has a right to just evict you.
And then here, like they mentioned, like they made a payment back to square one.
Yeah, right.
And that's scary. He could take between 5 to 50 years to pay off the house in the first place. And that's the thing, is like they don't even earn equity on it.
Right.
It's might as well just like I think get a loan, but the bank would not let us in the door. Maybe showing a place to rent nearby. I'm tired of renting. We need to put down our roots. Only place that'll make us our money, and y'all heard what the man said. If we don't take this now, we'll lose our chance. Let's see. What do you think we should do? Now, here's the choice for us. Oh, and this man. And if I could take.
Yeah, he's like totally pressuring them. They are asking Dot for her advice.
So this part, I'll let you make, because last time when I first playing this game, I very much related to the parents, and I was like, maybe it is a predatory system, but in my eye, like when I was first playing it, I was like, I do not understand that feeling of wanting to put down roots, but at the same time, if they just rent it, they won't lose all that money they put down all to nothing for one missed payment. So for this one, I think that the right choice is going to be rent. What do you think, Christina?
I would go with your gut. I can't make I'm part of the architect of the structure of these choices. So I feel like go with your gut.
All right, then I think this time, hopefully I try to get the good ending. We're going to go for rent, and the choice will be remembered. So rent, so you can really afford the house is your terms. I think you're right. Like I said before, I don't know why, but I trust you. Oh. Well, I don't. I trust my maid, so I'll go with what she says. All right, sweet. So they signed that. Miss Mavis. Anything like that. Oh, you look at that. It seems like my place in the pocketbook. Let's go see if we can find it. One weird cow. All right, so I think at this point, let's go check on our room. We're done with the first part. The first of the 3 different kind of like decisions, big decisions we're going to choose. So, let's use the key again. All right. Where are we going now? Back into the trippy space.
Back to the room. The magic mirror room is what we called it.
The magic mirror room?
Yeah.
I like that. It's very fitting, honestly. All right. Has to be a dream. All right. All right, then I guess we go and try. One of the things actually I did notice, it's here. Whoa, it looks like the stain on my ceiling is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's one of the butterfly effects. Like,
yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
they were not part of this like predatory thing, so maybe they did get to save some money not being caught in that contract for deed, which was very expensive for families
Yeah.
to be in.
Yeah.
So maybe they did get to buy a house and like build equity and stuff. So anyway, so that's just a nod to like
Yeah.
maybe things worked out.
Yeah.
They were able to build a little bit of wealth over time later.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, because I had never really like one of the things I did notice is that this main room, this kind of like save room, will change depending on our decisions
Yeah.
slightly. So I'm gonna try to keep an eye and just see if I can catch those things. All right. So she can't sleep. Let's go back out there and let's see where we're now. Locked again. Bring out the cool key. There's nothing. And I guess it's just kind of like after we're like 30 minutes, 30 or 40 minutes into the game. For those who are joining, we're playing through the game that's home. We're kind of like we've already gone through the first part, and we're now going to jump into the second kind of like big section of the game.
Yeah, this is chapter 2.
Let's see. Is that a mouse?
Ah.
There's a cute mouse. I used to have a mouse a while ago. His name was Mr. Fancy Feast.
Mr. Fancy Feast. That's so cute.
So here is another newspaper. So this was set in 1992. This one is the topic of urban renewal or urban removal. Especially like being here in Sacramento, California, I know that Sacramento was one of the big pushers for this whole urban renewal. In Sacramento, for those of you that know, capital of California, and here we had a big community of Asian immigrants in a big part that was demolished. They were expelled from their communities to build, new businesses, an old town area for like tourism, and we're all like really just displaced. So this kind of touches into that. And so let's see. Can you, so Christina, can you delve a little bit more into kind of like what about the urban removal part?
Yeah.
Like this whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time period where, so this setting is in public housing. So this is a time period, and before this too, really. I mean, it was a number of decades before the 1990s, but there was an effort to like privatize like public housing. So right now is a nod to Hope 6, which demolished public housing buildings like these big towers, demolished them and replaced them theoretically with units that were more like not as concentrated townhomes. Some of them were privatized. Some of them were like mixed income housing. So this is a nod to that. But the idea was that if you deconcentrate poverty, like you create more urban spaces where like everyone can be, which is so racist. So this is a sort of delving into that theme a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's see who we're going to be meeting in this area. Let's see. What is this? Someone's getting evicted.
Yeah, it's an eviction notice on that door.
Yeah, and I guess on the topic of like housing, what leads to homelessness and all these things is things like evictions. Like people who are in low income homes facing an eviction, that is a one-way ticket to homelessness.
Right.
Straight and simple. And but let's see. Who is this individual? We cannot find his wallet, and now they are behind. So let's see a movie about a serial killer in a project. Anyway, we live in a project. I think this is about Candyman.
It is. Yeah.
Nice. And I think I remember I saw the original one, like I remember when I first watched Candyman, like the first one. I haven't seen the newest one, which I really want to see, but really excited. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to put two and two together.
You got it. You got it. It's not, those are not my movies. Like, I'm not into it, but somebody on
Yeah.
our team was like, what if we put that in there? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I like that. Let's see, I know these voices. They sound like. Thank goodness. Are you the babysitter, Mom? All right, so I'm gonna say. I mean, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sure, I'm the babysitter. Let's blend in. Great, Evelyn. Evelyn and Hank. Okay, for a movie. It's after now. She's telling me to relax. Yeah. One of the things that I also kind of like, I guess, as they're going through it, that whole like, I'm someone that likes being there on time on two
Oh,
things,
yeah.
and there's some people who 30 minutes and they're like, oh, it's time to go, and I'm like, who's gonna hold up the house? We gotta go. So very
Yeah.
much.
Oh, yeah. I like this whole situation makes me very nervous.
Oh, dude, that man is driving me crazy. Okay, so let's go extend explore the house. So I guess now we know that like Dot's parents were in a project housing. So let's see. Let's talk and learn about more of the situation. Fighting about notice. Urban renewal.
Yep.
So basically, the mom now they're getting notices. They're turning the apartments into townhomes. People who live here. Yeah, it's supposed to be for people who live here, but we all know how that goes.
Yeah. Which is like exactly what happened with,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the public housing demolishing. Like, people
Mm-hmm.
scattered and who knows where they went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lost communities. Communities torn apart, really. So the dad wants to stay. She wants to move to something better, which makes sense. Let's see how we can help her out. Then came our daughter Georgia.
You see the crib there. That's where.
Oh yes.
So remember, Georgia is Dot's big sister.
Yeah, I think we might meet the adult version in later in chapter 3. But for now, she's a little baby. Let's see. There's no place to fix family. If you fix anything, lack of fixing, another issue. Especially even now as well. A lot of people still facing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to remember that like the federal government has slashed housing funding,
Yeah.
especially public housing funding.
Yeah.
And so most housing authorities that run public housing, like they get enough money from the government to like run the housing, not to maintain it, not to do maintenance and upkeep. So it's like a purposeful decision to like let these buildings fall apart.
Yeah.
So we wanted to touch on that too in this sort of theme here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this thing is also kind of like I really think, especially for people who might be going through similar situations where they're facing availability issues, is just kind of like this is something that has been going on for everybody. Like so many people experience it for decades. It's not new, and right now there's a lot of work to go against that. But these specific situation, it was actively done for racist intentions. So let's see. So now we make a decision. So now that we're moving to the project, I have an opportunity to take a voucher and move on up. I'm with you. What's there to love about this place? But there's something keeping Hank here. I'm gonna go with the second one just because I also want to explore, like something keeping Hank. So let's see what it is. I mean, sure. Yeah, neighbors. Yeah, that way. His best friend Amos looks down the hall. We're dreaming of new business schemes this time, so it's legit. What if I don't want to be stuck here? If we move on, we're giving our daughter Georgia better opportunities.
Yeah.
Whoa, I wouldn't expect you to be this stressed out.
Oh boy. That's revealing that she knows a little bit about mom.
Yeah. The family, across time. All right, so right now we're gonna go. Let's go get Dad.
Yeah, let's go meet.
And Amos, right?
Amos, yeah, Amos is hanging out with the dad over here.
Man, this malicious stuff is really bugging me out. The government calling it Hope 6. A lot of hope in knocking down our home. Winning game plan. Yep, that's that. All right. Let's see what these two are scheming. Knock, knock. Get that instruction. the law and everything. Section 3. Section 3. Hmm. I'm not too. I don't know too much about Section 3. I think I know more of like just Section 8, just Section 8 housing.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the same, like family of laws. It's just that they have to hire folks from within the community where they're doing the development. And the idea is that it's like a jobs program too. However, it's not always really enforced. It could be enforced better, but yeah, it's just a really wonky thing that we stuck in the script.
Yes. No, I mean, it makes sense, especially like a lot of, like just leaving communities out of the change that's happening in their communities.
Right.
And just
exactly.
the money goes elsewhere.
Exactly.
And doesn't help them. So let's see. Here we go.
There's Dad.
Babysitter coming in. What's your name? Dorothea or just Dorothea? Is it Dorothea?
Dorothea. Okay. Is her name, and so I really like this part. He's like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Hey, Mon, this is not. Come on in for a second. Walk down here somewhere. All right. Let's go explore. There we go. Honestly, I love Amos's room as well. I love the carpet.
Very 90s.
Yes. Let's see. Documents can let you know she's ready to go. Conversation. Let's see what they're talking about. Give me in hand. You got natural reports. Abbott to my Costello. I don't know that reference. Abbott to the Costello. I'm still a young kid, 24. I'm trying to like catch up on all the references. Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello, like who's on first?
Never saw that. That's something to write down.
Okay, now
is it like a TV show?
Abbott and Costello, yeah, they were like comedians, and there was this thing. It's like a long story. You're gonna need to watch it. Like look up Abbott and Costello, who's on first. But
I'll write that down. So I can do this after this. Let's see. The first in the morning news. I'm wishing we could hear folks just like us having, the 6 a.m. shift. So get this. What if we recorded our banter? So that's it. I love Dot's response to this. In just a second. This is my favorite conversation.
Great ads. I can't believe you invented the podcast.
I saw this running joke on like Twitter or something that was like people who like people who, instead of like talking about the problems, just start podcasts.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, oh, that hits home.
Yep.
It was just like it's everybody, especially right now, there's so many podcasts about everything.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a good start. Now we know the origins of the podcast.
Now you know where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the podcast that our office is really into is Normal Gossip by Defector Media. Yeah. It's so good. It is so juicy.
I'll have to check that out, and we could even kind of like give it a shout out and just include it in comments so people can also check it out at a later point.
Yeah.
And I do know one of the things I also kind of wanted to touch upon. They mentioned the Department of Housing and Urban Development and a government branch, or just government part is looking to revitalize it. And so one of the things I actually wanted to kind of touch on you is kind of like to what extent we talked about how the real estate part had like an influence on the housing situation. What about the government?
Yeah.
Like, how did they have a play in these outcomes that we're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, going back to redlining, like the federal government created the framework for redlining. The Homeowners Loan Corporation was a function of the federal government, and they sort of dictated who loans could be given to. And while that was a very short-lived, practice, it had lingering effects that still linger today. But just the terms of the loans, it was like you couldn't be a Black family. You couldn't really even be a family of color And it sort of turned housing into a vehicle for wealth. Like
Yes.
even today, most people, the bulk of their wealth is in their housing.
Yes.
Um, and that's because of federal government policy. It like rewarded housing, it rewarded home ownership, and it ensured that that was the vehicle for us to build wealth rather than, housing is like a social good that,
Yes.
was guaranteed. It became like it clearly dictated like the deserving and undeserving, the
Mm-hmm.
valuable and the not valuable. Like it delineated our society in this way that was like, it has lingering effects today.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. See what the dad has to say as well. I know this is not American now, so we're gonna get to why dad wants to stay. All we can do best is organize, keep it clean, do all the work the management does. It's still a project. It's just, he's been here for a long time. And feeling, and this is something I very much relate to, feeling that if you leave your community, that's saying that all the time you spent there doesn't mean a thing. And like
Right.
leaving community behind.
Yeah. This is really, I mean, it's the important thing to remember. Like, this is an excruciating conversation. Like, to me, this is one of the most poignant parts of the game, because it's really about like individual opportunity and
Yeah.
then like shared prosperity with community.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that like they don't know what's going to happen in their community. They don't know what's going to happen to their neighborhood.
Yeah.
But there's this like, should we stay or should we go? And I think that's I mean, for me, like this is a really poignant thing for me because my family had to make those decisions. Like my
Yeah.
parents made those decisions about where they decided to live. They like pulled us out of one neighborhood and moved us to another.
Yeah.
And the neighborhood before had a very high dropout rate. The neighborhood that we then moved to like had a magnet school and all these things. Like
Yeah.
my family made that decision.
Yeah.
And there is a sense of loss there, but I think it's also like there isn't a right answer here. Like from my perspective, I struggle like that with my son. Like I want him to grow up knowing like where he's from and like that he's Latino, but at the same time, like I don't want to live in South Texas because there isn't a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's tricky.
Yeah. It's a tough choice, especially like here. So that's asking us, what does a nice neighborhood look like? I would say of the three options between somewhere where you and your kids can grow without worry, street where everyone knows your name, neighborhood where you can shop at the supermarket without being stared at. Of all of these, I guess coming from how I would react, and good and nice neighborhood would be kind of like a stress, like somewhere that you can be stable and reduced level of stress.
Yeah.
And of course, like this can also like head into that. And I guess I would choose this one for mine.
Totally.
Let's see. And that's value we see here is when people take care of each other. And I guess you would have chosen the one where people know your name, which makes sense, knowing your neighbor, which is something that many people don't really know their neighbors' names today. And it's just something, again, the division, not division, but like, there's just sometimes been a loss of community.
Yeah, there's a move toward individualism. Yeah. I remember when we moved to our neighborhood, I was like, I want to know every single neighbor's name. And I wasn't super successful. I know most of them, but I definitely know everybody's dog's name.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I know my direct neighbor's name. I know some of the cross. But it really just kind of like, it takes time. Some neighbors just want to be left alone. Like they're my community. Here's that wallet. Let's go give it to him. But a lot of it just like it takes effort, and it's something that I myself, actively seek it out. Like I do want to like you like at least say hi to know that I'm here and that I value them as neighbors. Let's see. Oh yes, Dad's wallet here. You see my wallet? All right, let's give it to him.
There's the wallet.
Where was it? It was in your pocket. You dropped it in the ground. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Not a lot to talk about. So no $10.
$10 for babysitting. Oh my God, right?
It's like I've helped you. At least give me something back. So how about this then? Who's right? Should we take the voucher or move and stay here with our friends or neighbors? So here's the second big decision. So my own kind of feeling would be, what would I? This is such a tough decision. This game just puts you in such a decision.
Yeah, this one's hard.
I would say, uh, part of me wants to say move, but at the same time, I'm gonna go with. Uh, I'm gonna go with. Oh my god, this is such a tough decision. I'm probably just gonna go with stay for now because I know Dad has a lot of connection, and he has, and him and Amos look to have. They're invented the podcast, and look, it took up now in 2022. So
yeah, you gotta let them live their dreams.
Yes. So and it's supportive, it's having a connection there. So I'm gonna choose to help them stay there. And now let's go through and see. That's our sign to move on to the third chapter. Call you precocious. My mom does all the time. Oh, I like that last line.
Yeah, the writing is so beautiful
Yes.
in this game. Like we had really great writers, Evan Narcisse and Gita Jackson. Both of them are really well-known writers. And another writer, Amr Al-Assar, they all contributed tons to the writing of this game. So.
Honestly, my respects. It's funny, it is relatable, and it's just so wholesome. It really is. So, back into the mirror
room.
Mirror room, yes. Let's go back into. Let's see if I made a choice. Let's see how my choice affects my room. Let's see. Not even gonna bother. Oh.
See, take a look at that.
You're the best with dropping me, my kid. Right to this day. Aww. So let's see.
That's a nod to the show Sister Sister. If you didn't catch it.
No, I actually never also watched that one. I do know that was a huge show, and I think at one point I remember the famous drag star RuPaul was on it.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I think in a few episodes. So that's just like the bits I know, but I definitely had to catch up on all these things.
Well, it's based in Detroit. I think that's why we wrote it in. It's based in Detroit, but
that makes sense. I like that. It keeps it. Let's see. Oh, I guess we can't go to bed now. Okay, let's maybe try going back out. Okay, it's locked again. Let's try it one more time. Chapter 3. All right, let's go through the roomie. Actually, I guess while we're kind of going to this part, I wanted to also ask you. So the choice for this story, as we were talking about, is centering Dot, who is a Black woman who travels in the past, as we're seeing and we're going through right now. So what was was it the original goal to have the player play from the perspective of a Black woman? Was that the original intention?
I mean, I think we'll get at this at the end, but I think the idea is that not necessarily that you put yourself in the shoes of Dot, but rather that you accompany Dot as she goes through this mission. I don't believe that you should understand things by standing in someone else's shoes. I think that there's something really powerful about accompaniment, accompanying someone in a difficult journey, and just standing with them. So that was the intention for the design of this game, I think.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think I had read I wonder if everyone. Yeah, I had read of all that. It's kind of like I cannot truly experience what Dot must be going through outside of this game. But it's one of the things that, like, you know what? I see your struggles. I see what you're going through, and I'll be here for you. Like,
Right.
let me know how I can help. So I think that's really beautifully said, what you said. I love that. So
Yeah.
let's see. Where are we now? The interfaith center. So I guess this is outside of home. Rafi. Oh, you can't find a place to live. Hmm. Sounds like somebody needs a home as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something about not being fit for the neighborhood
Oh
or
God,
trying
those
to preserve the
dog
character of their.
whistles.
Hmm?
Some dog whistles there.
Yeah. And in this other case, it's not against a black woman or black family. It's against what looks to be an immigrant woman with I think it's a hijab.
A hijab, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like shows us like those kind of things, like not being right for the neighborhood. It's not only for black individuals. This extends to so many other communities who
Oh
are
yeah.
being kept out of neighborhoods. So
Yeah.
it's,
I mean, yeah, it's this whole idea of like people
Mhm.
being on the margins
Yeah.
and yeah.
No, absolutely. Let's see. Who is this individual? Community center helps us stand. We'll do what we can to help. No matter where you're from, we're immigrants. Got to stick together. Yeah. Let's see. Try to take a fight sometimes. Need home with his hands. Oof. I think we rely on others since we arrived. A community is only as strong as the people in it. Absolutely. 100% agree.
Yeah, we got to show up for our neighbors.
Yeah. Absolutely. Especially, neighbors, and now there's something I would say, neighbor is not only someone that's housed, it's also someone who's unhoused.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I like, though, as I approach the work and just trying to help people. It's just, especially as you're dealing with a housing crisis, the people on the street are also our neighbors and should be treated as such with compassion.
Totally.
Let's see.
Yeah,
All right, so it appears, I think I missed it, but this was.
Yeah, so that's Dot's sister-in-law. So that's Georgia's wife.
Yes. All right, let's go and chat with her. Dot, you were busy with college applications to set that here. Wait, why? Because I was doing college applications. Are you telling me I still passed a teenager? Oh, control. I always forget. How old is Dot supposed to be, by the way?
She's supposed to be in her 20s.
Okay.
So she's back in time in like
Yeah.
2000, I guess 2010.
Yeah.
Ish.
Okay.
So they think she's like in high school right now.
Yeah. That makes sense. Let's see. Yeah, because I think in in the 2021 time, that was like, I think she was like in her like late 20s as well, or was it? I can't remember. But you said like early, like mid 20s.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go. All right. I guess we're gonna be helping this individual sorting out some documents. Pamphlet for the event. Lay out the set you think is best and throw the rest in recycling. Okay. Let's see how we can help. Organize the pamphlets. Hope equity. Helping her. Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, throw those away. Throw them away.
Trash. All right, and let's put up the good potluck. I love potlucks. I really do.
Yeah, for sure.
So much fun. Let's see. It looks great. Thank you. All right, so then we're gonna go back to the house, and apparently there's gonna be a little potluck at grandmother's house. Let's go see it. See, are you Dorothea? I want to show me so much fun. I'm Esperanza. Nice to meet you. All right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, place to stay. All right. Okay, so basically looking just for a home as well. Struggling. Work.
Yeah.
Oh, They look one look at his name and they never give him an interview. Actually, that I remember. I'm pretty sure this kind of like touches upon that. There was like a study that was basically found that people with more black sounding names were
Oh yeah.
giving a call list like more immigrant names as well. And so it's just kind of like I. That's one of the things I guess like when people are reading that like that's kind of what it might be hinting at. I assume.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's just like racism in housing,
Mhm.
racism in like, job and career work. Like,
No.
yeah, it's definitely touching on that.
No. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Here we go with this. Hey dots. Uh-huh. All right, we're gonna go. Oh, empanadas.
Empanadas, that sounds so good. It's like lunchtime over there in California. So,
I know it's 1:16. I am ready to eat, and honestly, part of me, oh, I'm just ready to eat. But first, let's deal with this man. Can the property change hands so many times in a decade and still turning a profit? Surely a miraculous piece of land.
this guy,
All right. Hey, Mr. Murphy, what brings you to the neighborhood? Oh, please, Alma, it's Michael. Since my hope of a future purchase at an empty home, don't you think? I disagree. Anytime I see an empty house, it reminds me there's somebody who could be living there.
I know, right? Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
And this man sees profit where other people see opportunity for a life.
Yeah, and that's like so many people in the real estate industry. They're like, I see all these ads on Zillow or whatever, and I'm
Yeah.
like, it's like great investment property. I'm like, I hate you.
Yes. Yes. I feel the same way. It's but you know what? We're making progress across the country. Organizations like ours are fighting for a better future. So there's hope.
Yeah, yeah, like community land trust. Like, been so
Yes.
excited to see all the stuff y'all are doing at ACE, taking control over those vacant properties. Just yeah,
Yes. And
exactly.
honestly, I love that, and especially people can always look up kind of like it's Moms for Housing in
Lots for
Oakland. If people,
housing.
yes, if people want to learn more about kind of like that kind of work with ACE, definitely look that up. Let's see, Hope Equity. Ah, so we get to respond to this man. Dot recognizes Hope Equity. So let's see how we can respond. So those real estate pests with the annoying commercials, they're advertising all over the place. But what exactly is it that we do? So I know exactly what they do. So I'm gonna go with a little bit more of like a little sass
Yeah,
towards
be
that.
sassy.
Mm-hmm. Hope private equity. We make dreams come true by financing them. Prime properties, neglected neighborhoods, to trick people into buying homes they can't afford and eventually kick them out and jack up the prices.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Looking at violence and putting good people in good homes. Back to way back when I worked at the bank, I helped the family purchase a property. Ah, so as we're kind of going through this man as well, this man, and this is one that like for the game development, this man has remained constant. He hasn't changed in appearance, both in the past in the '60s, and then again in the future. So
Yeah.
what is he like? Is that like an active choice by developers?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's very purposeful. It's like as long as housing has existed, this kind of guy like shows up and it doesn't change. And so it just goes to show that like the way things work, like they don't work.
Yeah.
Especially for families like Dot, that they're coming
Mhm.
up against the same villain over and over. So we wanted
Yeah,
to convey that.
absolutely. And it remains the same. The system is a lot of times remains untouched, even if it changes here and there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see. So that has a way to respond. So everyone deserves a chance at American dream, don't you think? Let's see. Either I hope you do a better job of making that happen for this family than you did the last one, or I don't think anyone will consider that good. I would say this one.
Yeah.
This is my we're all entitled to our opinions. Cool. All right. So this one's gone. Let's settle. Let's see what the new choice is. Also, I guess does this change? Oh, I guess I never picked up this one. So
Yeah,
investors cash in on Detroit's housing. So this is exactly what you were making the point of kind of like the homes for cash part.
exactly. It's just, it's
Mm.
going to keep coming up in this game, right? Like
Yeah,
cycle
I love
repeats
that.
itself.
Yeah, so the newspaper is really important for those playing. It really kind of like going through it. We're not going through it entirely us together, but when people start going through that, definitely read it because it really it's the very touching stories in those newspapers. Let's see, this house is mixing up to sell. If their family need a place, right? Maybe it's a good fit for them. Although Georgia might have other plans. Let's see what. Oh wait, I think we need to go inside the house now. Not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. So Georgia will come out in a minute.
Oh, there she is.
There's Georgia.
Hey, Dottie. My roommate. Pretty chill, and quiet. Chit chat type. Empanada duty. Alright. Okay, I talked to the real estate people and we're finally going to sell that house. So whoa, so she's in the real estate industry as well.
Yeah. So it's really important. Like Georgia is not, the whole family, they're not perfect. Like
Yeah.
Georgia's basically operating under the like we worked really hard for ours, like we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
focus on us.
Mm-hmm.
But you see that her partner Alma is like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So challenges Georgia about
Yeah.
that belief.
Hmm. Yeah, and so let's see exactly. So let's see. I talked to the real estate people and we're finally going to sell that house. So we can either respond. You seem very excited about selling this house, this empty house that that you that you were when you first bought yours. Or you ever think about the people who live in this house, or do you think of collecting this paycheck? Ooh, that's a bit.
Oh,
Ooh, that's very confrontational. Um, I guess I'll go with this one just because I'm curious to see like.
keep the
Uh,
peace. Keep the
yeah,
peace.
exactly. It's my sister. Let's see. Always with the smart mouth. This one. I've been sitting in that house since the auction. It's time to sell. Foreclosure auction. For closing, yes. Especially, I think the newspaper's around 2010. So this is
Yes,
following
exactly.
the
So it's
foreclosure crisis.
post foreclosure crisis. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. We play this right, we could get twice or even triple the price I paid for it. So he's selling to Miss Murphy. Michael's line up pick up right away. Not a state as well, not locally owned. Another issue. All right. What's the silence? And see, I can see her feeling is like getting into this market has a lot of money, and it can secure your family a lot of a house, things you need, college. But it's like at the same time, it's like on the other side, it's like at the cost of who? That's
Right.
always a
Exactly.
question.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all connected. So like,
Hmm.
yeah. See, so this is hard for them. It's emotional.
Yeah. We can help people right in front of us in our community. Amma did say that. Oh, clearly have someone in mind. Ooh, things are getting heated. Coming to healthy family, community center, good people that have a bright young daughter and a promising future. Everyone else has turned them away. Once you give up your dreams to help people we barely know, Georgia. Ah, yeah, this every chance. Get a little home.
Let them rent the place.
Mm-hmm. They work hard. Someone can do the same. Ah, it's not our job to make that happen for them. Come on, mind. We blow this chance we don't get a new one. So as a whole, there's it's interesting because throughout the whole story, that one white individual was painted as like he's kind of like the main antagonist in a way for like what's happening. But then we have now someone in our family who is not necessarily like it's hard to put her as like an antagonist because her intentions are good.
Right. I mean, we
So
want to like, yeah. I mean, this is about how things are complicated. Like
yes,
there isn't
very.
there isn't like good and evil, and sometimes like I've seen shows about folks of color in Baltimore flipping houses. Like
Mm,
this idea of housing as a vehicle for wealth is insidious. So like
yes.
should be conveyed in this story too,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so this is the choice. She asked, what do you think you should do?
I think, without a doubt, rent the house to the family. A home is made of more than just one family or one house. So let's see. Hopefully, let's see the value. Hopefully, we have made the choice, and I'm really hoping that we get the good ending, just because I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I would love to kind of like see what the whole story ends up.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's go inside and figure it out.
Let's see. All right. All right, back in the mirror room. Let's see. One last walk through this area, I assume, before the game gives us our final results.
Yeah, so you're gonna have like a little bit of a recap after you get into the house, so you can kind of like speed through it. You can also see the butterfly effect if you go to the window.
The window. Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Oh, you said the window. This window?
Yeah, this window right here. And if you should be able to like look and you see the results. So you see the Tafiks moved in. You see their little Venezuelan flags and the I'm not sure if it's a Pakistani flag, but
yeah.
Yeah, so you see that they moved in.
This is really nice. I never even noticed the window detail at all. So I'm learning new things as I play as well. I love that touch.
Yeah.
Yay! So I'm glad that they were able to move in. So let's see the recap of the game. And the leak is gone. Oh. Okay. Good promises. Good promising. All right, Dorothea, what are you doing upstairs? Like you were sleeping. All right. Well. Oh no.
Yeah, so Carlos is in the basement and sounds like he's in trouble. So, oh boy.
Let's go see what's up.
Oh no, it flooded.
Oh, it's an awful smell. Oh no, must be like sewage or something. Okay.
Wow.
Let's talk to him. Let's get him out of here. What are you doing? Everything is ruined. And his asthma's acting up. Does anyone want to be here? How can we stay in this house? Something's always falling apart the other week.
Poor baby.
Huh?
Poor baby.
I know. Especially my family has asthma, and so like, people don't like. It's a serious thing when people have an attack, and it can just get worse.
Right.
So I can definitely understand the crisis with having mold and someone with asthma. So let's see. Yeah, let's get Carlos out of here. I guess nothing can be salvaged. All right, cough. I think God's grace been happening. It's out of breath. Oh no, sewer water. Oh, they also live close to the environment. That's your plant.
Yeah, so this is like serious. Like they're trying to figure out whether they're doing the right thing by keeping the house.
Yeah. And allowing, or just not allowing, but like not only keeping the house, but keeping Pedro maybe getting sicker.
Right, exactly.
Oh.
It's tough.
Let's see. You know, your grandpa always fix things up. She's been, he already passed as well. Oh, let's see. Grandma, are you okay staying here? No. You deserve to live out your best life. And I don't want you to have to spend your days in the house that's falling apart.
So this is the recap.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Let's see.
You can speed through this, but you know, essentially it's sort of like, he's talking about all the choices that Dot helped make, that we helped Dot make.
Oh, so this changes depending on this dialogue changes depending on the decisions.
Yeah. So Dot's
Mm,
like, wow, they really listened. They did the things that I told them to do.
yeah, and that's nice. And okay, so yeah, so this will basically change depending on. Oh, let's see. This will basically change depending on what people choose. So let's see.
Right.
Even though it never made it, your dad's ideas kept getting bigger and bigger. It can make Evelyn's dreams come true, or her mom's dreams. Hmm. These are all place to feel safe. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, under podcast. Okay, so this is just a quick recap. All right. So you and Georgia have your own home, and your sister even ended up selling houses herself. I was going to say this one, this choice. Okay, opportunity. So I guess at this point we're just slowly wrapping up, overwriting the decision to sell the house next door. All right. Let's see. Messy story. Everything's falling apart. Good point, Carlos.
Yeah, you've been quiet. What's the deal?
Yeah.
It's your
Oh,
house we're talking about, Grandma says. And Dot's like,
yeah.
my house? What do you mean my house?
Mm,
Who do you think is going to get this house?
after she's gone, so she's gonna be inheriting this house. So I guess the last choice is whether we want to sell this house,
Right.
keep it. Mm. Someone calls it a home. I don't know what to say. I never imagined. All right. So the last choice: either sell the house or stay in the house. I think just from seeing the conditions and just my concern, that's actually from my own personal experience. My mom's home is also has a lot of issues. One of the things that I'm trying to do, because she also has asthma, I'm trying to get him out of my house, our house, into a better house. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna choose what I'm currently choosing in my life. So
that's valid.
yeah. So I'm gonna choose to sell the house. Part of me is always like already like, did I make the right choice? But I guess we'll find out. I really am hoping that we get the good ending. All right, so let's go get the deed to our to the house.
All
We're
right.
buying and selling
She's
it.
got a new key to open the lockbox. Here we go.
All right. Hopefully, it wasn't damaged by the sewage water.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So that's wrong key. There we go.
And
I know.
there's the deed to the house. And so now you can go through the door and see your ending.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, final bits, especially as you're wrapping up. It's already 1:33. So there's a big padlock. Okay.
So it looks like, yeah,
Think. Yeah, she moved to
moved
the
out to the
suburbs.
suburbs, got a place of her own.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, making homes her own. Wait, I hate that grandma lives up in that house alone. Did grandma move to the suburbs with her?
No, they're separate now.
Oh, all right. Well, at least Dot is also driving, doing school. Let's see. Speaking of kids, oh, your nonprofit architecture day and night. Not that he minds. All right, so Carlos doing up. He's doing good.
Yeah. I mean, the message here, like
Yeah.
this is like the neutral ending. So it's the message here is like, you know, everybody's fine, but there's sort of a sense of loss of community.
Yeah. A third time again with the neutral one. But you know what? I tried it. And
It's
hopefully the
really
people
hard.
watching. Huh?
It's really hard to get the good ending, just so you know. It's like,
Yeah.
and that's just, I mean, my final message about this game is like, there's no winning, right? Like,
Yeah.
that is sort of the way our housing system is created, is to put us in this situation where that there's no good choice. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do to really make things work perfectly. Like, and that is because it is set up that way. Like, it is set up so that we have to struggle to like meet our individual needs.
Yeah.
But it takes like kind of moving past that to like work toward the collective good. And it's hard. It's doable, but it takes a lot of thoughtfulness and work.
Yeah, and one of the things, I guess, just kind of like the last thing before we wrap up, just here's the 3 different just snapshots of what could happen. The good one, we can see here, neighborhood community land trust.
Yes.
Didn't get that one, and that's why I wanted to get it so badly. Down here, cash for keys. It looks like we thrive, but that's home for now. There's a lot more to the game. Everybody should please go check it out as well. And actually, I do have to ask you, how much is the game, by the way, and where can people find it themselves?
It's free. It's free to play. You can find it at your Apple Store, the Apple Store, the App Store, Google Play. You can find it on Steam. It's free to play, and just Dots Home is part of the Rise Home Stories project. So it is part of a suite of projects that a group has created over the last several years, and the last project in the suite of projects is coming out in just about a month and a half or so. It's called Steal Estate, and it's similar to Dots Home. It's like an interactive experience. It's not quite a video game, but it is an interactive experience. And it's created by ACE and Power Switch Action and a few other housing justice organizations. So it'll include evidence and first-person stories from 4 people affected by the foreclosure and eviction crisis. And the first story is with an ACE leader, Vanessa Bolness. So you'll dig into like this intricate web of all of the stories of people who have been affected by, private equity and corporations taking over their housing and neighborhoods, and how people like Vanessa are fighting back with the help of ACE.
That is really cool, and I'm actually very excited to go through that as well. I do like, especially you said it was like in a month and a half. If people are interested in the Steal Estate, I know we're going to be advertising it once it's released on both ACEs, and other collaborators. So we're very excited to delve into that one. And hey, maybe at a later point, I could go through it as well with another one of our teams, and then just kind of expose people to the myriad of work that is being put into Dots Home, into Steal Estate, to find new ways to connect with viewers and people who may not be too aware of these kinds of things, or may be new to the theme of housing and housing injustice. So it's very exciting, and of course the work, it's good work as a whole. All right, and then one last thing, Christina, before we go, I wanted to kind of ask you, what is the big takeaway that you want people to get from this game?
I mean, most of all, I think I want people to question, like, how did you get to the place you are? Like, think of all of the decisions that it took for you and your family and your like ancestors to get to where you are.
Yeah.
And maybe you're not happy about where you are. Like, we can ask ourselves, like, how do we create the collective future how do we create the good ending?
Yes.
How can we think about our individual choices and then like impact our big systemic choices, the big policy choices, so that we can get to where we want to be?
Yeah. All right. Well, that's honestly, I couldn't say any better. That's a great way to wrap up this kind of playthrough. Again, Christina, thank you so much for joining us with this experience. It's been really a pleasure to play with this, get some feedback, some like new information about the game that I didn't know. And so if people are interested, again, this game is found on Steam. You can play it on your phone, and it's always for free as well. Please check it out. And if you're interested in learning more, feel free to please follow Power Switch Action on social media. And you can also follow ACE on social media and stay in touch. And we would love to hear from everyone. Thank you very much. And yes, the link to the game is right there, dotshomegame.com. You can learn more about it there and learn where to download it. All right. Thank you so much, Christina. I'll see you again some other time. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Yeah, thanks for playing with me.
Thank you for playing with me as well. It was very fun. I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Great. Take care, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.